Good morning, I'm Adam Sexton. So many consequential decisions made in the state budget that just went into effect, but no one topic seemed to generate more public interest than the push to end state-mandated auto inspections. Not everyone thought a full repeal would make it through, but it did, and that day is coming in January of next year. There's a lot to discuss here, and we have with us Representative Sam Farrington of Rochester and Jason LaCroix, the board chair of the New Hampshire Auto Dealers Association. Gentlemen, thanks both of you for being here on a holiday weekend. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
So, Representative, let's start with you. This wasn't necessarily issue number one in the election, but it's certainly become a very important issue to your caucus and a lot of members in the House. Why was that?
Well, Adam, it was pretty clear from the start that Granite Staters were fed up with this program. I received over 500 different emails and phone calls, many of which from constituents asking to repeal the program entirely. And it's not just because people didn't want to pay the $50 or, take half a day off from work, which can be stressful. The real cost comes when you walk into the inspection station, sometimes with a new car, expecting to pass, but you get a bill for a couple $100, maybe even a couple $1,000 because of a crack in your mirror, or maybe your engine light's on for an electrical issue. And so the way I see this is a huge win for the little guy. People with low income, people that don't have the resources to buy a new car. And so it's a very big win for all of New Hampshire.
And certainly generated a ton of attention. Anytime we were reporting on this, everyone was interested. Mr. LaCroix, though, you think this policy change is a mistake. Explain why.
Yes, we certainly do. We have 22,000 employees, New Hampshire employees that work in the auto business, and we take a lot of pride in our work, and safety is one of our #1 priorities. We see cars all day, every day that aren't safe and shouldn't be on the road. In many cases, when you bring your vehicle in for a state inspection, it's going to pass. But we might be able to see some foreseeable concerns, and you can address them now. You can plan them for the future. But the things that are most important are tires, brakes, oil leaks, and those are things that you need to lift your vehicle. You have to put it on a lift. You need to look under it, and for $40, you have a trained, licensed mechanic that can look at your vehicle and make sure that your vehicle is safe. And that's our top priority, and I'm not sure why it's not one of your top priorities.
We'll let you respond to that, Representative.
Well, when I first heard about this, safety was definitely a concern. But then I looked into the studies and the research, and I found that 38 other states don't require this. And yeah, maybe New Hampshire has some snow, but South Dakota does, other Midwestern states, they don't have this program. And so what I found actually most convincing was the testimony of Brian Chase, who's a former state trooper here in New Hampshire, also assistant director to the DMV, and right now he's in the private sector where he analyzes thousands and thousands of car crashes. And he's a forensic expert, so he basically concludes what caused those accidents. And what he found was, throughout all of his years, thousands and thousands of car accidents, there was only 4 instances where component failure was the main reason for the car crash. And what he found was that the state inspection program was not justified.
Mr. LaCroix, is there any data to show that the roads would become more unsafe without inspections?
So one of the problems with this data, and if you can Google and you can see that 2% of the accidents are because of mechanical failure, correct? On an accident report, there is no place where you put down that there was a mechanical failure. So the reasons for a crash, the top reason is speed, second is distracted driving, third is DUI, and fourth is weather. There's no place on an accident report that says the tires are at 1/32nd or the vehicle didn't have brakes. The 2% number is actually high, in my opinion, because there's no place for that data to be entered. I'm assuming that people say, I lost brakes. I completely lost brakes, and that's why I crashed. That can be the only reason, because it's not in the data sheet.
Let's stay with you on this, though, Mr. LaCroix. What about the component of this debate where people have felt like they've been taken advantage of? That they, again, the light went on, they thought, oh, maybe this is nothing, and they walk out with a $1,000 bill.
Yeah, a couple of points on that. First, we believe that the annual safety inspection should be safety-related items. We came to the table, we wanted to talk about that. We think that there should be a committee that says, hey, do we need to worry about fog lights? Is emissions a top priority? Because in our mind, we just want the vehicles to be safe. We just want the roads to be safe. We brought ideas to the table. We were there at the very last minute, and there was going to be a special study on this, but it was thrown into the budget, which I don't really know what this has to do with the budget, except for the fact that about $5 million of lost revenue from eliminating this. So that's that first point. The second point, There's an appeal process. So if you bring a vehicle into an annual safety inspection and it fails and you don't believe that that's correct, then appeal it. If you Google what to do if you think you're getting scammed, I've heard that word used by a number of times, it starts by saying reach out to the owner, but you can do the Attorney General, you can do the Better Business Bureau. There were less than 30 complaints that went to the state last year for annual safety inspections.
You haven't used it today, but you have used it in the past, the word scam. Is it a little harsh, though, to say that to cover this entire industry?
Well, what is a scam? At the very base of a scam is deception. And so by mandating this inspection program, the state is telling us that it ought to be justified. The data shows that's not the case. When New Jersey repealed their inspection program about a decade ago, they didn't see any difference in car accidents. It was statistically insignificant. And so it's also a scam, part two, because these shops are scamming people. Now, I know that there are good mechanics out there, good inspection stations, some people are honest, but unfortunately, the system as it is right now, it favors the inspection shops. They have to take it onto themselves to be honest. And like I said, 500 plus emails, a lot of these people, stupid things, stuff like engine light that won't shut off because of an electrical issue, or something, probably the most ridiculous one was the turn signal, not the main turn signal, but the one on the side of the mirror that won't flash, and they fail because of that. They've got to buy a brand new, mirror. It's crazy.
How does that land in the shop or the garage when the word scam is used?
It's offensive. Again, we just want the cars to be safe. And if there are things that we believe that shouldn't be part of the annual inspection, let's talk about it. It's not our choice. It's governed by the state. The DMV is the one that says these are the rules. And the rules, by the way, it's the minimum safety standard. So brakes is 2 millimeters. Manufacturer says you should replace them at 3 millimeters. Anything less than 2, it's metal on metal. Now, if you have a vehicle with 2 millimeter brakes and you keep driving it, you're going to go metal to metal. You're going to ruin your rotors, which is going to cost you more money. You're probably going to ruin your calipers, which is going to cost you more money. So let's check those things out. If you're at 3, you can plan for it ahead. If you're at 2, you need to replace them. If you're not, then you're putting an unsafe car on the road. We don't want that.
Representative, I want to ask you, some of the data that came out here, I think it is from the Auto Dealers Association, the caveat there, 51,000 steering issues flagged, 43,000 worn or damaged tires, 78,000 vehicles failed for brake problems. It can't be that all of those were incorrect, can it?
Well, no, there's a misconception that by repealing this program that we're going to have unsafe vehicles on the road. I'd point Section 266 of the RSA. That still requires the minimum safety requirements that you were talking about. Brakes, turn signals, and so there's a lot of discussion as to whether state police will be taking that under their control, but you still have to drive a safe vehicle at some point. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect. The deputy speaker said you have a right to drive an ugly car. I still think that's the case.
Yeah, how does the enforcement start to work, at least from the Auto Dealers Association perspective? We know that state police were not exactly fans of the idea of having to be, car repair police as well.
You need to put a car in a lift to look at the car. And state police aren't equipped to do that. A lift costs somewhere between $12,000 to $20,000. Nobody has their own lift. Back in the day, we used to put cars up on ramps, we'd look underneath, and we don't do that anymore. So the cars need to get on a lift, and a licensed inspector, a licensed mechanic, needs to look at that car and make the recommendations.
To that, I would say, you still got to get your oil changed, right? You go into Jiffy Lube or whatever company does your oil change. They put your car on a lift, they look at your tires, they look at your brakes, because they want the opportunity to fix that for you. And so it's not like people are going to go out with bald tires now. They still have to check their oil. And so that's a big safety measure that we already have in place.
So the big difference is the state is no longer saying that you have to have safe tires. The state is no longer saying that you have to have good brakes. The state is no longer saying that that oil leak that is leaking on the manifold or exhaust needs to be repaired.
Well, RSA 266 does still have those minimum safety requirements.
And the state police are going to manage that. How?
Well, you look at the other 38 states that don't have this mandatory program, and they figured it out.
So one of the things I want to compliment you on, we should all be proud of, is we have one of the safest states in the country. And that's great. Us in Vermont. Why are we looking to these other states that aren't nearly as safe and using them as a guide? I mean, Vermont has an annual safety inspection. All of the New England states, with the exception of Connecticut, do. We have snow. We have ice. The first snowstorm, everyone says people forgot how to drive. Well, Maybe it's that their tires aren't, they haven't put their winter tires on the car yet. I mean, a lot of people are responsible, and that's the people that I'm worried about, the ones that are responsible that are driving with the people that aren't. The accident last night, 93, a Civic lost control of the car, crossed 3 lanes, crashed into a van. Driver of the van is in the hospital. I hope he's doing okay. What caused that crash? Was it speed? That's what's going to get blamed for, but we're not going to check the tires. We need to. We need to make sure our roads are safe.
And last question to you, Representative, here. Do you think that the political will to maintain this non-regime will withstand perhaps when a really bad accident does happen and it's proven that it was a car that shouldn't have been on the road?
Will it happen? Time will tell. I mean, the 38 other states, we haven't seen that, at least significantly in those states. But from a political standpoint, New Hampshire, it's a live free or die state. We don't want to force something onto you. Whether it's seatbelts, insurance, motorcycle helmets, we trust people to follow their own interest. And yeah, you'll have, stupid people, but you can't fix stupid. So we trust people to make their best decision and to be responsible.
All right, Representative Farrington, Mr. LaCroix, thank you so much for debating this topic on Close Up. We appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be right back with more changes from the state budget taking effect, including a major overhaul of how the arts are funded in New Hampshire.